during the 1980s, sorry Carl, just joking. During the 1980s, there was no team in any sport at any school who had as much success as the Norwell High School girls track and field team. In fact, out of the 20 student athletes inducted into the Hall of Fame, 3, Pam Cannell, Alicia Porro, and Karen Phillips, are here for their success as a member of the girls track and field team, all under the leadership of Bob Littlefield. We're about to add a 4th to that list. Michelle Lordan and I were both members of the class of 1989. And when I think back about Michelle, what I remember about Michelle is she was nice to everybody. It didn't matter if you were that kid hanging out in the smoking area, and remember when we had a smoking area in Norwell High School? Al Casale's going, yeah, I do, because I had to kick you all out of there. Right? Yeah. Shh. No, he didn't. It didn't matter if you were that or the kid in the AP class. Michelle was nice to you. And Michelle just looked at you for who you were, not what you were viewed as. And that's what I remember about Michelle. It didn't matter who you were. She always had a smile and a kind word. And I bet if you asked most of us who graduated with Michelle if she knew how good she was at track, we would have said we didn't know, because she was just so humble. She would never brag about her accomplishments. She was just that student. She carried on the legacy of female runners at Norwell High School, but she never bragged about it. She just did her thing. And she carried on that legacy and has earned her place in the Norwell High School Athletic Hall of Fame because of her accomplishments as a member of the Norwell girls track and field team. So I'd like to welcome again to the podium Michelle's teacher and coach, Mr. Bob Littlefield.
I don't know where to plug it in. Brand new.
Thank you once again, Mike.
Must be on that side.
I will apologize ahead of time. I came here tonight with prepared remarks to introduce Karen, and then I walked in the door and said, well, you're introducing Michelle as well. And I was not prepared, but I was thrilled to have this opportunity. Once again, this is a beginning and an end story. And the beginning requires a little bit of a confession. Michelle, unlike Karen, Michelle started as a track and field athlete. She started a little earlier than others. At the time, Dick Austin was teaching physical education at that time, the junior high, and he said that he had a girl who was very mad about track and field. And I think maybe she'd like to come up and run through some practices. And so, one day, at the beginning of the season, there was Michelle Lordan, looking not quite like she looks in that stunning photo there. There's this little girl, Michelle Lordan, who wanted to be a manager of our track team. We let her practice with us, and she ran, and she did a little bit of jumping. And one day we went on a track meet to East Bridgewater, as far away from Norwell as you can go. And I said, Michelle, this is your day. We're going to let you run the 100 meters. You're in like the 3rd or 4th heat. Have fun. And so she lined up and fired the gun. Michelle got about halfway. She was way ahead of everybody else in the heat and fell. And got up and finished the race. And it's a moment that neither Michelle and I have ever forgotten. So, but she finished, well, once Henry Goldman heard about what Michelle was doing, he gave me a call and said, what the heck are you doing? And so Michelle had to go back. She came out in the 9th grade, and in our first big meet in winter track at Harvard University's facility, we had Michelle running in the 300 meters. This was her first really major race. The starter fired the gun, and Michelle took off like a shot. And the starter fired a gun a second time, indicating that someone had committed a foul at the beginning of the race, and the race had to be rerun. We had not covered that with Michelle. And all alone, kind of like a breakaway horse at the Marshfield Fair, there went Michelle until people jumped out in front and finally got her to stop. By the time she was done, however, Michelle was also named by the Boston Globe as the singular outstanding female track and field athlete of that year. And she had done it by winning all state championships in the hurdles. In the hurdles, mind you, you fire the gun. And Chip Ennis has been a long time great friend of Norwell track, and that's how, and I'll take credit. I'm the one that broke Chip Ennis in. When he first moved to Norwell, and Becky came out to run cross country, and Chip said, "Is there anything I can do to help?" But back to Michelle. She ran the hurdles. She ran the high hurdles in a race that is just wrought with danger. There is so many things that can go wrong in that race. And Michelle just was so diligent. She was so determined. She was so coachable. She was the first one to arrive. She was the last one to leave. She won the indoor state championship against some fabulous athletes, and then went back out again in the spring. And not only on that day, won the state championship in the 100-meter hurdle, she also won it in the long jump. Her final race for us was at the New England Championships at Brown University. Now remember how her career started. Her final race was the 100-meter hurdle championship race at Brown. Now, I want you to picture, there are over 800 schools in New England, and the best are on the track on that day. Michelle won the championship that day by 1/100th of a second. And I just look back and I remember telling her about all the things that she did right. All the right choices that she made, and that all those things contributed to that 1/100th of a second that made her a champion. Michelle also went on to Boston University. She was a captain of the team at Boston University. She was on conference championship teams. And I just could not be prouder of the way these two women have turned out as professionals, as moms, as wives, and as individuals. I am so honored to introduce to you tonight, and you'll get to know Michelle Lordan.
Thank you for embarrassing me. Well, I guess we all have to start someplace, right? I remember one of the first times I was running, it was indoor track at Norwell High School, and it was inside because it had to be sub 30 degrees in order to qualify for us to practice indoors. And I remember Coach Littlefield saying to me, "Michelle," it was the end of the first season, he said, "Michelle, I'm going to make you a hurdler." And I said, "Like hell." And I ran from him. I ran far and I ran fast. And I said, "There's no way. I like my little sprints. I'm in and out and I'm good." And he said, "Nope, you just stick with me and I'm going to make you a hurdler." And I just want to say thank you so much for recognizing my potential, recognizing my talents, recognizing my quirkiness and embarrassing, qualities. But I just really appreciate everything that you've done as a coach, as a mentor. You have inspired me to be the best at what I can be as a parent, as a wife, as a colleague, and as a friend. You really have touched and influenced so many areas of my life that I want to thank you. And I want to speak on behalf of a lot of the women and the girls at the time, now women, that you have inspired above and beyond the track. So thank you. first, in addition to that, Mr. Littlefield, I want to thank my family. My family, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my mom and dad, my sister Kristen, my husband Mike, and we have 3 children, Grace, Danny, and Kate, and all the people at our table tonight, Jack and Elaine for always being there, Mr. Coog for showing up. Didn't matter where it was in the city, you were there at Harvard, you were there going to BU, you were driving me to my high school graduation so I could be there on time. Thank you. My mom, I've always called her a petite little thing. But I'll tell you, this lady is strong as an ox. She was managing her second master's degree, working full time. She was there as a mother, as a friend, and I just admire your strength, and thank you. My dad, you know, you're my biggest fan. I'll never forget that little silver Toyota truck, you know, following the yellow school bus, whether it was a dual meet in Situate or, you know, out up to BU for a meet. I always looked for you, and it was nice to know you were always there. So thank you for believing in me, and thank you for all those times we go off the track. We would, off hours, my dad and I would go down to the track, and he'd bring this big video camera, you know, he'd lump it up on the shoulder, and we would just try to perfect, you know, the stutter stepping or the issues we were having, because my eye was on the prize, and Littlefield instilled it. He said, you're going to be a state champion someday. And I knew that I didn't want to graduate high school without winning that. And Dad, you really helped me get there. Thank you. And of course, Chrissy, my best friend and my soulmate, thank you for always being there to lean on and laugh with, and the fun we've had over these 40 plus years. And Mike, hopefully you've met a lot of the folks tonight that we've served our family well. Another person I want to thank is my best friend Melissa Hurley, who was my co-captain at the time. She has such strong leadership qualities, and I just thank her for her lifelong friendship and always standing on my blocks. It didn't matter if it was one of the big championship meets. If I knew she was on my blocks, I was stronger. Thank you. And again, thank you for putting this together, the committee, and I'm just honored to be up here with such talented people, friends, family, and thank you.
And for those of you who are interested, when we finish here tonight, there will be a race out in the parking lot. Karen Phillips, Michelle Lordan, I think the Carton boys are going to be in, Danny, and Gordon. Well, it's going to be a good race, so get out there anyway. Melissa Hurley's going to be there. It's going to be a good time, so get out there. Bill Fish, okay, but anyway, Mac Hegan will be doing it on his hands. All right.